These are some comments I screenshotted from a video that I'm going to try to put in the description if I can even remember what video it was. But it was made by some autism creator who has the label and agrees with it. Okay, wait a minute, I had to burp. But anyway, I think the video was titled "Is Autism a Disability?" or something like that. And basically there were a lot of people in the comments talking about how people are trying to stigmatize by acting like autism isn't a disability. And that's just one of the things that people who accept labels do that I find really, really stupid, to be honest. Because for one, the mental health professionals make the stigma, and the label itself is the stigma. So you can't blame other random people for making stigma. Like anybody who actually knows anything about the mental health system and how, well, honestly, any branch of the Cash for Kids system or any group that claims that they're there for other people and to help them, I mean, you should know how these things go, really. But it's like so many people are in denial about so much stuff. And there was something else I was going to say, but like the usual, I don't remember. But one thing that I can say is that people who like got labels but weren't specifically, no, that's not the word either. People who got labels and weren't in like some type of abuse situation, they don't really get like how bad labels in the Cash for Kids system actually is. And that's something that I noticed a little while ago. It kind of goes back to this thing that this lady told me when I tried to leave my abuse situation back in 2022, the first time, and all that mess happened. In fact, the lady who said this was actually the lady who lied to everybody who was trying to quote unquote help me and turned me in to the police while I was asleep, and then lied to everyone, and including the psychologist that was trying to help me get into a transitional teen program, which I don't think would have been able to happen anyway, but I'm not even going to go there. So, what she told me is that if I wasn't in a situation where I was being taken advantage of, the mental labels really wouldn't even matter that much, and I wouldn't be able to get put in the situations that I was getting put in. But I mean, that's obvious, because it's like, even with the usual Munchausen by proxy that the Cash for Kids system does itself without an abuser, because like I've said before, I think on here, the mental health system is Munchausen by proxy because they create the issue by beating into people's heads when they're young. Even some people in the Cash for Kids system are literal babies, like 2-year-olds, and they're getting it beat in their head from that age up that they're stupid, crazy, and slow and all that. I didn't mean to say stupid, crazy, and slow. I meant to say stupid, crazy, and bad. But yeah, so they get beaten to their head that they have some issue. And then, of course, once someone gets a label, they start actually taking on the characteristics that they're told go along with that label. And that's statistically proven that after somebody gets a diagnosis, they actually get worse usually. Then also, once they get put on the neurotoxin pills that dumb them down and cause mental illness, neurological problems, and physical health problems, that also gives you a whole bunch of mental issues and other stuff. So, not only... Dang, I forgot what point I was trying to make, to be honest. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, not only does the mental health system do Munchausen, but when you also have another abuser, like a guardian, who also is specifically in the Munchausen by proxy, can make things so much worse. And I think what I was gonna say is that, like, even with the labels, if it wasn't for the fact that I had an abuser that was already in the Munchausen by proxy, the situation wouldn't have been as bad as it was. Because, of course, when you have a mental label, things are always going to be pretty bad when you're in a bad situation, since the label is there to make you the quote-unquote bad, stupid, crazy person. But it's like, I still feel like if I didn't have a Munchausen abuser, things wouldn't have been as bad as they were, because like, even though it's all kind of Munchausen by proxy, there's definitely different levels to it. So other people that I met in the Cash for Kids system still hadn't been put in some of the situations that I was put in, because their abusers weren't specifically Munchausen by proxy participants, because I don't really know what to say. Hopefully that made sense, because I kind of lost my train of thought like usual. But to make a long story short, people in groups like this that accept the labels that they're given because they don't know any better, and because they feel like because some people don't like them and they're not like quote unquote normal people, which really the description of quote unquote normal or not neurodivergent people really just seems to be people with no empathy and no morals. But it really just usually seems like people taking a label to make themselves feel better and feel like somebody, because they're not like most other people and they don't really get along with people or understand people. And like I said before in other videos, all of this does nothing but set you up for a victim complex, to be truthfully honest, because then it leaves you balled up in a corner, rocking back and forth, crying about how you quote unquote have some disability and you were born messed up and you'll never be good enough and all this other stuff that really isn't even true. And of course, there's no real test for any of these things. I mean, they're not showing people brain scans or anything. Wouldn't really make a difference because everyone's not supposed to be wired the same anyway. But now to start reading the comments, if I have enough recording time left. The fact that people are arguing that it isn't considered a mental disorder just proves that they have little understanding of what a disorder is. It's been given a negative connotation, so people treat it like a no-no word. There's a lot of people out there who don't understand that disability disorder and other terms that describe our experiences aren't just insults to be thrown around. On one hand, this results in the typical trolling, but it also results in a lot of well-meaning people completely losing their minds over the words we choose to describe our own lives. I'm autistic and have ADHD, and that's too much to read. The trolls who use disabled as an insult are winning. And I really hate comments like this. And I don't just mean like on the internet, I mean in general, because what people seem to not get, like I already said, is that the people who make the quote-unquote stigma are the mental health professionals. So if anybody's the quote-unquote troll, it's these people that they're running to, that they love so much, that they're taking labels and other made-up crap from and running around claiming it as an identity. And then this person said, how would disability not have a negative connotation? Being told that I'm less capable than others, no matter the verbal package hurts. It hurts a lot. I think people see disability as a negative thing, so they don't want to admit to it being a disability. Or people just view it differently depending on your circumstances. Autism for me isn't a disability. Modern living is what is disabling. I don't know why I didn't screenshot the rest of either of these. Maybe I didn't screenshot it for either of these replies, but I don't even really remember. I think it's still disabling regardless. Even if someone has prosthetics, medication, wheelchair, ramp, etc., they would still be disabled. Society doesn't cause them, no, but it has decided that having those traits makes you inherently disabled, which can be ableist or ableist or however it's pronounced in itself, rather than figuring out the whole nuance to it. Hypersensitivity for me has led to non-epileptic, and I didn't screenshot the rest of that. I said, people who don't understand why some don't want the disabled along with the autism label must not have had experiences with the mental health system. Then this person said, I've been in the psychiatric hospital 40 plus times. I'm disabled. You can also be disabled and never have any problems with mental health. It's not even about having problems with mental health, to be honest. But that doesn't really make sense to me, though, because regardless of what these people may think that are claiming and agreeing with labels, the mental health professionals see people with the autism label no different than they see somebody with any other label, which people should already know, since for the first, well, I don't even say that. I mean, even just some years back, a lot of people were still believing that autism was no different than being either a narcissist or having antisocial personality disorder, which some people call a sociopath and psychopath, but apparently those aren't even real diagnoses. But that's what the mental health professionals just had people thinking not even that long ago. Because, I mean, this was still common belief in the 2010s and stuff. And then there were also other bad things that people thought. I don't even really know if I could say on here. And then, of course, there was even one point in time during my Munchausen situation where some psychiatrists told my mom that there was no way to know the difference between autism and schizophrenia because they mimic each other. And that was said by a mental health professional, a psychiatrist. So it's like, you're saying you've been locked up 40 plus times, but you don't think that they were considering you mentally ill or having problems with mental health? It didn't really make sense to me. And then I said that's not what I meant. People who are protected by guardians who just didn't see the full side of the Cash for Kids system, who won't know how bad, dangerous labels really are. Labels really are. The mental health system is one branch of the Cash for Kids system. I mean, of course, people aren't going to respond to that anyway. But her comment didn't really make sense to me. Like, you were in there 40 plus times. It sounds like the same stuff they were doing in asylums. Even people with Down syndrome would be locked in insane asylums.